Welcome back! My name is BALLERSCUBA. This is Video Games Over Time. We are still in 1982, and today we're going to talk about E.T. the Extra-Terrestrial. The story of E.T. takes us back to Steven Spielberg. We have talked about Steven Spielberg before. The now legendary director was responsible for Jaws and Close Encounters of the Third Kind. We last talked about Spielberg in our video on Raiders of the Lost Ark, a film that Spielberg directed. The beginnings of E.T. date back to 1960. Steven Spielberg's parents got a divorce that year. To help cope, Spielberg imagined an alien companion for himself. Spielberg began trying to turn this concept into a film in 1978. But other projects forced delays on this new film. After the success of Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Spielberg began developing a darker project in which aliens terrorize a family, named Night Skies. Night Skies was intended to be a sequel to Close Encounters of the Third Kind. While filming Raiders of the Lost Ark in Tunisia, Spielberg got lonely, and the concept of his imaginary alien friend began to resurface. Spielberg told Melissa Mathison, an American screenwriter, about Night Skies. Melissa Mathison would take some of the aspects of Night Skies and write a new script in around 8 weeks. This script would be named E.T. and Me. Spielberg loved the script. After 2 more drafts, the script was ready to present. In the early summer of 1981, Spielberg met with Columbia Pictures to discuss the script. However, the executives at Columbia felt that the script had limited marketing appeal, as the film would mostly appeal to young children. So Columbia rejected the film. Spielberg then approached MCA, the parent company of Universal Studios. MCA purchased the rights to the script for $1 million, just under $3 million in 2021. Under the agreement, though, Columbia would keep 5% of the film's net profits. Spielberg, who would direct the film as well, hired Carlo Rambaldi to create the alien. Rambaldi had worked with Spielberg on Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Spielberg also tried to get candy to use in the film around this time. Spielberg originally wanted to use M&Ms, but Mars Incorporated, the makers of the candy, refused. The Hershey Company agreed to allow Reese's Pieces to be used instead. When it came to casting, Spielberg felt comfortable using child actors based on his experiences on Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Henry Thomas was chosen as Elliot, the lead role. Thomas had worked on the 1981 film Raggedy Man. Robert McNaughton and Drew Barrymore would play the roles of the other children. While neither had much experience acting, Drew Barrymore comes from a legendary family of actors, the Barrymores. The voice of the alien would be voiced by Pat Welsh. Welsh was an established radio soap opera actress whose smoking habit provided her with a raspy voice that worked well for the initial vocal work for the alien. The voice itself would go through several alterations, including recording other people as well as animals to layer the alien's voice. Welsh would only be paid $380 for her work, around $1,100 in 2021. Harrison Ford, who played Han Solo in the Star Wars films and Indiana Jones, was cast to be the principal at the children's school in one small scene. After filming, however, the scene was removed and Ford is not in the film. Filming for E.T. began in September 1981. Spielberg was scared that someone else might plagiarize the idea for the film, so special precautions were taken during filming. The working title during filming was A Boy's Life. The actors had to read their scripts in secret, and everyone on set was required to have an ID card. Spielberg did not storyboard the film. The film was also shot in roughly chronological order. The idea was to get genuine reactions out of the child actors. The film was shot in just 61 days, 4 days ahead of schedule. This was uncharacteristic of the reputation for Spielberg. For the film's soundtrack, Spielberg recruited John Williams. We have talked about John Williams before. He did the music for Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back, and Raiders of the Lost Ark. E.T. the Extra-Terrestrial premiered at the 1982 Cannes Film Festival. It would then be released on June 11, 1982, across the United States. The film grossed $11 million on its opening weekend, over $30.6 million in 2021, becoming the #1 movie that weekend. This alone was enough to cover the film's $10.5 million budget. That is the backstory to E.T. the Extra-Terrestrial. With that now told, it's time to talk about the plot of E.T. the Extra-Terrestrial. If you have not seen the film and do not want its plot spoiled, now would be the time to stop watching. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. For those that have stayed, let's talk about the plot of E.T. the Extra-Terrestrial. The film opens with a group of alien botanists landing in a California forest to gather specimens. One of the aliens, attracted by lights, wanders off from the group. Government vehicles show up and chase the alien. The other aliens abandon the mission, leaving the wandering alien behind. Nearby, a young child named Elliot becomes suspicious when he throws a baseball into his shed and the ball is thrown back out. Elliot finds the alien with a flashlight. The alien screams and runs away. Elliot then leaves a trail of Reese's Pieces to lure the alien inside the house. The alien then starts to mimic Elliot's movements, so Elliot decides to fake being sick and stays home from school. The alien and Elliot start to form an empathic connection to each other, and Elliot is able to feel the alien's thoughts and emotions. Elliot decides to introduce the alien to his siblings, although they decide to keep the alien's secret from their parents. The alien tries to show the kids where he is from, then demonstrates his healing abilities by reviving dead flowers and healing a small cut on Elliot's finger. The connection between Elliot and the alien continues to grow. The alien names himself E.T., then decides to create a device to phone home. Elliot, still connected to E.T., starts to get sick and starts referring to himself as we. On Halloween, the kids dress E.T. up as a ghost and sneak him out of the house. They return to the forest and use the homemade device to call E.T.'s planet. Elliot wakes up the next morning to find that E.T. is gone. Elliot heads home to rest while his brother goes in search of E.T. His brother finds E.T., who is dying. The two go back home to join Elliot, who is also dying. Elliot's parents find out about the alien and Elliot's illness. A group of government agents in astronaut suits come to the house in search of the alien. Scientists set up a laboratory at the house to research the alien. While the experiments are going, the connection between Elliot and E.T. seems to disappear. Elliot starts to recover, while E.T. appears to die. Elliot is taken away, screaming that the scientists are killing E.T. E.T. is pronounced dead, and Elliot's brother discovers that the flowers that E.T. revived are dying again. Elliot is allowed to say one last goodbye to E.T. Elliot tells E.T. that he loves him. E.T.'s heart light starts to glow, and the flowers begin to revive again. E.T. comes back to life and tells Elliot that the aliens are returning. Elliot and his brother steal the government's van and try to run away. They are able to make it back to the spaceship. There, E.T.'s heart light begins to glow again. E.T. says goodbye to the children, telling Elliot that he will always be in Elliot's mind. As the spaceship leaves, it leaves a rainbow behind. After E.T.'s opening weekend, the film would remain very popular. In its initial run, E.T. would gross $619 million worldwide, becoming the highest-grossing movie of all time in 1983, beating Star Wars. It would create several records along the way, including the highest-grossing weekend of all time and the most weeks as the #1 film. The film would be re-released in 1985 and 2002, having a total box office gross of $792 million. The film would increase the profits of the Hershey Company by 65% due to the use of Reese's Pieces in the film. Columbia Pictures, who received 5% of the film's net profits, have reported that they made more money from E.T. than any of the films that they had made that year. The critics' reviews were overwhelmingly positive. It was instantly hailed as one of the best films of all time. The film would be nominated for several awards that year. As time has gone on, the critics would continue to look on the film fondly. The film is often cited among the best films of all time. If you have not seen the film for yourself, it is definitely worth your time. After the film's release, the film has been subject to scrutiny over plagiarism claims. Although 2 separate claims have surfaced, neither has been successful. E.T. would not be released on home video until 1988, but when it did, it would be very successful. The VHS version would sell over 15 million copies. E.T. would also sell a lot of merchandise. By 1998, E.T. is said to have sold over $1 billion in merchandise. E.T.'s success would translate into several other forms of media. There would be a novelization of the film, written by William Kotzwinkle. Kotzwinkle would write a sequel in 1985, named E.T. the Book of the Green Planet. The sequel would have E.T. return to his planet before breaking the rules in an attempt to return to Earth. The film would also spawn a theme park ride at Universal Studios Florida in 1990, named E.T. Adventure. It would also spawn a major video game, but that is a story for another video. That will do it for the story of E.T. the Extra-Terrestrial for now. My name is BALLERSCUBA. This has been Video Games Over Time. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in our next video when we go to the moon.